Today, we have an exclusive episode featuring Russell Richardson, better known as RussFlipsWhips, whose captivating social media content receives tens of millions of impressions every month, all while being one of the top Lincoln salesmen in the country at Beyond Lincoln in Pennsylvania. We are also joined by John Frederick of Car Dealership Guy, the automotive media company that took the world of social media by storm with the recently revealed identity of its anonymous founder, Yossi Levy. John is responsible for helping build the Car Dealership Guy brand, which is disrupting the world of automotive marketing and has become the top destination for transparent automotive insights.
3, 2, 1.
Quiet on the set. Pick 73.
Well, guys, I think we're officially ushering in like the new era of car sales. So we have a real TikToker with us.
Yes.
And then also a media mogul. John, what do you do?
I help guys like Russ or Car Dealership Guy find product market fit with brands and people in the car business and kind of find creative ways that they can work together.
Yeah. And how do you two know each other?
Russ and I actually, I guess I'm Russ's like manager.
I call him my Uncle John, so he's more like my
We
Uncle
have
John.
a business relationship of some sort. It's like hard to define, but Russ brings a lot of value to both car dealers and brands. And, I'll throw crazy ideas at Russ and he'll say yes to half of them. And then we fly to Indiana and hang out with you guys.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it seems like this all happened like super fast within the last like year or so.
Yeah,
What's the ride been like?
Me and John met. We met for the first time yesterday, but talked for the first time on the phone.
Oh, that's good, guys. Thanks for letting us know now.
Yeah, I told Zach we met in high school.
We talked on the phone for the first time, like March?
Yeah.
And then we've talked on the phone every day since. And then we stayed in a hotel room together for the first time last night.
Yeah.
You met at the Drury Inn.
Yeah, we met at the Drury
In
Inn.
Lafayette, Indiana.
That's a great story. We'll tell our kids that. But I think like meeting Ross, it was very evident that he had a lot of value and he's charismatic and it's holy smokes, like the following speaks for itself. But I think what we can really unlock with people like Russ, or there's other people in the ecosystem that may not be as prominent as Russ, but they have a lot of both consumer value and they have a lot of B2B value. And I think everybody in this business has always known that Kim Kardashian can move lipstick. But I think people like Russ are so important to our industry, automotive, because they have genuine insight, but also brand appeal. And you can, drive inbound traffic for brands with Russ.
Yeah, I think what's crazy though is like really hard to value the ROI. I think that's one of the things that we hear a lot in the business is how do you know you're going to sell cars with this thing, right? And it took you a while to get to the point where you did sell cars with this thing. So what does that process look like? How long did it take you to get to the point where you felt like, all right, this is working?
Yeah, I mean, going from like day one when I first made my YouTube video to today where, I am selling a good bit of cars from social media, it's about a 5-year journey, but I'd say it probably only took a year and a half of being serious with it to really get it there. And one thing that I struggled with at the beginning was even asking people to come buy cars off me because my page was so focused on just giving value and entertaining that I forgot to ask people to a lot of my comments were like, where do you even work? You don't even say where you work. So I feel like if I had approached from a slightly different angle from day one, I would have sold a lot more cars from the beginning. And I've figured out that secret to really giving to people, but then doing that small ask.
Why do you think more dealers aren't doing it? Or more? I think I've seen more now start to do it, but
I think there's 3 reasons somebody doesn't do anything. They're not trained, they don't give a crap, or they don't want to. And I think for a lot of people, it's just they're not trained on how to do it. And that makes them scared to do it, Like what we did with the team yesterday. I told them how to do it, and then I went and showed them how to do it. And once I knew how to do it, they were all excited, oh, this is how you do it. This is how you get views on a video. This is how you entertain people. This is how you make a video that can get some views. And we took guys that had never made really a video in their life, and I showed them how to do it and make it engaging and not make it about them, but make it about the people watching. And once I kind of showed them that secret to how to do it, it was they were all really excited.
Tell them about the Dalton outcome, because I think that's really neat.
Yeah, so Dalton, I helped him make a video. He's a little camera shy, but we got him some courage, and he made a video. And he has no followers on TikTok.
None.
He has 100 now.
yeah.
And his first video, I think this morning we double checked, got 20,000 views. He's probably going to win the contest that you guys put in. Whoever can get the most views from their first video. So he should win that. And that was just really exciting to see that outcome. You know, just kind of the proof of concept.
When you were doing the training, you said, I think, something that at least resonated with me. And it may surprise some people, but
It was the comment that there's the fear of doing a first TikTok or a first video is the worry that someone may see it and it may be stupid, or it may be something that doesn't hit or do well, and I don't want to be exposed. And you said the good news is if it does terrible, no one will see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it was like
really
that
funny.
moment of like, oh, he's 100% right. If this sucks, nobody's going to know it sucks.
Yeah.
And I think it's the fear of like, I don't want people to make fun of me or pick on me or call me weird or anything. And it's like, what do I have to lose here? Like,
Yeah.
we know who you are anyways. You like, for employees that have worked for us, you've worked for us for a while. We already know you're weird. You're in the car business. You have to be weird. Like,
Yeah.
Welcome.
so
You're among
just go
friends.
ahead and put it out there and let's see what happens. Because the worst thing that's going to happen is someone's going to comment, and that drives more traffic. That gives you more opportunity, and who knows?
Exactly.
I mean,
Zach, what was the appeal of, having Russ and I here? I've really loved the experience. What's evident to me is how strong of a team you have, such great people. You seem to be a pretty visionary leader who has a lot of buy-in to, hey, this could really be special if we do this. So where are you guys on your curve of social media adoption, and like what's your ultimate vision? I know yesterday I said,
Yeah.
Zach, I think you got a content house on your hands
yeah,
here.
for sure. I think there's two things. First off, you promised me that Russ would wear salmon pants. So that was the first one. So that was the reason why we really signed up and said, let's get this guy here. The second one is truly what you just said. Like, we don't know where social media is going to take us. We've seen, even in launching this podcast, just the relationships we've built and the opportunities of where it's starting to. Social media has been that entry point for us to do something different in the automotive space, but also now it's starting to turn into how can we attract talent. And what we've learned is the dealership is looking at production only. And when I say dealership, I'm talking the conglomerate car dealership. And we're at like, how can we give production, but how can we supply you with everything that you may not have?
Right.
How can we give you the cameras? How can we give you a podcast studio? How can we give you a content house, as you reference, where if you're a 20-car guy and you think you can get to 40, we're going to give you all the tools to get there. We're going to give you a social media person we have on our team to be able to pump up your numbers, film for you, kind of grow and brand yourself. So for us, it's really going to that next level. And what we saw was somebody that's done it, has the followers, has the viewers, has the clicks, as kind of an accelerator to get to that point without having to go through the headache of a 1.5-year trauma.
Yeah.
Again, I truly believe it will take more than 1.5 years because Russ is Russ. Like, the
Right.
personality sells. But for us, how do we get exposed to even doing it? And as we just saw, what kind of confidence does Dalton have now having 20,000 views on one video?
I mean,
Yeah.
he must feel like Superman this morning.
We'll find out.
And I think you'll garner a lot of scale, and I think you'll attract a ton of talent.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the rising tide lifts all boats. And I'm really excited. I hope Russ and I get to come back in like a year or like and just see what it is.
1 year anniversary.
Because I'm pretty bought into your vision, and I think, it's a progressive idea, and it would only happen in a store that has dynamic leadership and kind of good vibes. It couldn't work in kind of like a whip cracking sort of environment. It's like old school, like how many phone calls you make today? It's like, no, you got to kind of hire talent and let them thrive. So giving people kind of time and space to really hone their craft.
One of the things too, and Russ, you hit on this yesterday, so talk a little bit about this. Like, you talked about, you got to determine what you want to be on social media. Like, do you want to be this huge brand influencer? Like, do you want to own your market? So talk about those two different ways, because I think that can be really hard for people to think, man, there's no way I'm ever going to be a RussFlipsWhips personality. But like, a lot of people can own their market, own their town that they're in.
Yeah, like one of the things I really tried to make the difference between yesterday is not everyone has to be on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, LinkedIn, posting funny, engaging, satirical videos like I do, or educational videos. You could just be on Facebook and Instagram and maybe a little bit of TikTok and gear everything you're doing to your marketing community. And you might not have as big as a following as someone like myself or someone else out there, but your following is really strong. I referenced a couple people that have 1,500 followers on Facebook, but sell 45 cars a month, and half of those are from Facebook referrals. And it's just, what do you want to be? So if you're like, I don't want to be this social media influencer, and I just want to be the guy that sells cars at Bob Royman Toyota, and I want to do really good at what I do. Well, you can leverage what you're doing through Facebook and these social media platforms because they're the ultimate form of follow-up. You're always on your clients' minds. I told a story about how I got a referral. Somebody was showing one of my clients my videos, or one of my clients was showing one of their family members a video during Easter. It's like, I got a referral because I was on somebody's mind during Easter because they saw me on social media. And it's like, I wasn't going to do follow-up calls on Easter and hope I get lucky. No, I was on somebody's mind.
Part-timer.
Yeah. Yeah, John would have been making follow-up calls on Easter.
Back in my day,
John was
Russ.
on LinkedIn on Easter.
John,
Be like,
we
this
were
is-
7 days a week in
he's serious,
store.
though. John, anytime I say something I did good in the car business, John's like, that's nothing.
I do
sold a
kinda
car at
feel
1
that way.
a.m.
Yeah.
to hit our bonus, and we backdated the paperwork to
I
12
feel like
a.m.
I
and
grinded in Tyson's
I want a
corner.
Rolex.
statute of limitations are over on some of those stories.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's crazy. We were playing golf yesterday evening, and shout out, Logan, turn my mic up for this part. John and I went birdie to win, so shout out that.
Let's go. And
Russ.
it
Playoff
means
hole.
a lot
It's
because
tough.
Austin's so good at golf. Like
True.
I could, like not mention this, but Austin's so good at golf that I feel like we got away with something.
We feel like we robbed him on the last two. So, but back to the real point. Russ said while we were on one of the greens, I asked the question to him, was like, hey, if I was launching Rorman Toyota, or if in your scenario, Biondi Lincoln, and I didn't have Russ at my disposal, the personality, the person, etc., what would you do? And I thought the point that resonated with me the most was like, I would focus on being a product expert, everything brand specific, but also in the fact of all you need to do is get like 4,000 followers. Everybody thinks, how do I get to 400,000, 500,000? If everybody in your store had 4,000 followers, and they were probably 4,000 different followers, think about the impact you would have when 10 people make posts. Because you're hitting a group of 40,000, 30,000, 50,000 versus the idea of like, I'm never going to get to 100,000 followers. And I thought, what a kind of profound statement of what if everybody just invested a little more? And I know we talk about that in the car business of like, hey, you know what you could do if you just gave me 10% of the time you goofed off.
Right.
And it's like in social media right now, just start doing it and let's see where this thing goes. Because again, it's shocking to be like, we're still industry-wise ahead of the curve.
And I think what's lost on guys like us, like Car Guys, is like how modular it is for Russ, how he considers kind of a personal blog video high funnel, or he uses a satirical video to gain following, and he thinks that kind of a car review is more low funnel. I mean, the tactical blocking and tackling of this is really what I'm most impressed with Russ. Face value, he's funny. He's good looking guy. He's charismatic. And then when you watch the way he goes about his business, you're like, oh my goodness. He's like, he reminds me of like my father-in-law who's a surgeon. I'm like, you do, like, you talk shop the same way.
No, it's true. I mean, in listening to him talk yesterday and like train the staff, it was so simple. And I don't know if it was because you made it so simple, but like I printed out your notes. I mean, I was looking at them thinking, what in the world? But then you present, I'm like, dude, this makes total sense. But
The notes were kind of crazy.
Yeah, I think you were a little skeptical of the notes.
I was like, say hi, tell that one story.
You know what, guys? We're not going to do a training now with Russ. We're just going to let him talk a little bit.
But it was just crazy. Like, I mean, you truly are a professional, like, media guy, right? And it's just kind of cool to see you've learned it, and to be around somebody like that, it blew my mind. So you've like built this huge platform, and now you guys are leveraging it, obviously, for money. So we're shopping out some different brand deals. What are like the first deals like? Because this is really revolutionary, like innovative stuff. Nobody's doing this,
Right.
And like this is such a different type of marketing. So what's the response been like? And I would say specifically John, because like you're the one that's trying to put these deals together and find people to.
I think we found product market fit initially with Car Dealership Guy, and we really hit. And credit to Yossi Levy, who really was able to create an account that was just insight driven. And we've been able to keep church and state separate, and we have a news division. Like, I can't believe it. Like, we're suddenly a news company.
Yeah.
And we have a writer, Anna, and she covers the CDK thing that's going on, and she's doing such a
Wait,
great
what's
job.
going on with CDK?
I don't know.
We don't know. We're a techie on dealer,
Don't
so
wanna
we
talk
haven't
about
been
it.
experiencing anything.
Yeah, so we found product market fit because I was a vendor, and our CEO went on the Car Dealership Guy podcast, and it just rained inbound leads for 60 days. So I became so enamored with how you can drive. If you have stakeholder attention with valuable people at the dealership level, it really meant the world to me. And I saw the same thing in Russ. So it was kind of easy for Russ and I to connect, and he appeals to a lot of the brands that Car Dealership Guy appeals to. And he's tangential. And I think the first deal was like, oh, this guy's only good for consumer shopping. That's a lot of the pushback I got. And then Russ and I did a deal with a really cool tech company, and they kind of gave me a leap of faith. They're like, oh yeah, John, I know you from this other endeavor. I'll trust you is kind of what they said to me. And then a week after the video was posted, they called me and they were like, buddy, we just sold more of these things than we ever have in like multiple years of operation.
Yeah.
He goes like, for what? He's like, I don't know what it was about Russ or his audience, but like the phone rang a lot, dude. That's all I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, his value is, I think value with people like Russ or car dealership guy, it's a little bit of the forest but through the trees. And if you can do it in a really nuanced way, it's the most fun you'll ever have.
So Russ, it's like got to be exciting to be like, oh, these brands like kind of want me to represent them a little bit. How do I do these videos? What are you just saying yes to everything?
No, I'm not. John calls me, hey, you got this company that wants to work with you. Here's what we're going to do. How's that sound? And I'm like, I don't know. He'd be like, let's do it. And I'm like, let me think about it for a little bit.
Well, his litmus test is really like, can I make something creative out of it?
Yeah, like that's all. I'm like, well, what do they want me to say? What do they want me to do? Like, what is the outcome they're looking for? Because I don't want to just take a brand's money if I don't think I can deliver.
Yeah.
Now, John is very good at persuading me that I can. And at first, I was like, "This guy just wants me to sign the deal," but he has been right every single time.
Uncle John.
Yeah, Uncle John just wants me to sign the deal.
I know. I'm like the guy who like influenced University of Miami football in the '90s. Yeah. Like, what was that guy? Uncle Luther. Yeah. I'd be great at NIL.
Shout out anyone listening. John's contact information will be below for your NIL deal.
Yeah, Clemson, don't hit me up. You have enough money.
But so far, I mean, everything's went extremely well. I mean, for every brand deal we've done, every brand has gotten more leads than they expected.
And you're right, Austin. Attribution's expected. And I think in an environment where we're kind of like, 6 months ago, we were building a rocket mid-flight. And now suddenly, you can honestly make a few deals with some AI companies that can do some dynamic things with social listening. So like, say a brand states a thesis through a Russ skit, you can observe the comments and have AI digest them and go back to, so-and-so brand and say like, hey, about 45% of the people in the comments kind of disagreed with what you said, or 55 agreed, and overall sentiment was extremely positive. And then you can create some sort of bit.ly link that gives cool attribution, clicks, impressions, da-da-da-da. And then beyond that, you can just set up a page where people submit leads. So like, how do you define ROI? I'm here for you. It's like top of my priority. And I think we have a good way, and we're getting better every day.
And I think that's interesting too, because anytime we've looked at it, we definitely look at it similar. I know we've spoke about this since you've been here. Like ROI, anything social media, everybody wants to see the tangible asset.
Right.
What was the actual dollars and cents? And I feel like it's such a bigger picture thing where I may not be able to give you that answer, but give me 6 months and I'll be able to report back.
Yeah.
And I think if you're looking at this as, hey, if I get involved with Russ and John and figure out how my brand fits best with them, you may get more phone calls, you may get this, but like for the first time ever, somebody may hear your company name.
Right.
Like I know that product, I've seen that, but I didn't know they were called whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the part that people don't think about an ROI, because it may not be dollar and cents, but you may actually have that brand recognition of what it is. So a question I'd have for you, Russ, is like when you have a product come in and you've never heard of it, how do you educate yourself in a way that it comes off as an expert? Because things that you've done have come across like, oh yeah, we've been using this product for 1,200 years.
Yeah.
You do such a great job kind of owning it.
Yeah. Well, John will usually schedule a meeting on my off day because I do sell cars. So John likes to like stack my off day so I can't golf, which is why we didn't win yesterday. Because if I had been golfing like I normally golf.
What's your excuse, Austin?
It was not fair.
So Russ was not fair.
You guys planned this. You guys were like, we're going to go golfing.
Exactly.
John, do not let Russ go out one time.
Yeah, we'll have a rematch in Jacksonville. I'll take everybody surfing, and I'll be the decently better standout there.
Well, you guys started off really bad, and then when we put a little bit something on the line, they let us win the first
I know,
hole.
we
and
got
then
dialed. We
got
were kind of having
serious
fun
quick.
It
there.
was ridiculous.
We did get dialed real quick.
I like that we were down 2, though. That kind of made me a little happy.
But to answer your question, I do take it very seriously. Like I won't just do like an ad and just like make it like blah. Like I got to be like, I really got to know what the company's vision is and what they're trying to achieve. And there's been some brands, I'm not going to say who or what it was about, but I said to John after a little bit of research, I'm good. I don't think this is a fit for me. This isn't something I would personally recommend to somebody. So any brand deal I've ever done is something I would personally recommend that every store should have. Maybe my store doesn't have it, and there's reasons why. Some of these things are very expensive or just aren't a great product fit for a Lincoln store, standalone Lincoln store. But everything I've promoted I truly believe in.
It's hard to understate how many opportunities people in media get presented, and it's really more about saying no. You have to and I, sales guy, car guy, what have we ever said no to except for like a high RO?
Yeah.
And so it's about saying no to the things that are distractions, focusing on the things that you really believe in, and yeah.
So how much is this going to disrupt the industry in terms of we go to these trade shows, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, these budgets for these trade shows and other marketing are
Jaw-dropping.
millions.
And you kind of sit there at your booth. I've been a vendor, man, and you pay the freight, and you go to the thing, and you stand at your booth like Al Bundy, hope somebody walks by today, so I could hope it,
I feel like a trade show is like the equivalent of like writing prices on the window and parking it like out front at the
right.
dealership.
Dude, you're so true in it. Last year we went, I won't say the name, we went to the NADA show. We sit through this hour-and-a-half presentation, and I remember literally texting Austin. He was across the table from me. They squish you into a small room. It's 100 degrees because you're in there with eight different human beings. You're shoulder to shoulder. There's no air moving. We're an hour and a half in. They're pitching us like, you got to use our company, this. We're the greatest thing ever. What do you think? And we said, do you guys integrate with Techion? Oh, no, we don't do anything with Techion.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've been here for an hour and a half listening to your pitch.
How was
And you
they
had
have any
no
pastries or bagels or anything?
Nothing.
I got a pair of socks.
Dude.
I got a pair of socks.
Nice. Got the socks.
It's like you had no investment to search our company before we walked in here.
Right.
You
Spray and
pitched us
pray.
this dollar amount, huge number, and you have no clue who
Well,
we
I've been
are.
in those shoes before where you're just trying to goodness, I'd love for Zach to return my phone call and God, if all my problems be solved. But you know what, guys? What you're doing here, the two of you don't get enough credit for this. And Logan behind the camera really is on the forefront of automotive media, whether you think it's true or not. What you're doing in this room is as important as what Russ or CDG are doing, because you're so credible in the business. If somebody sat here and they really talked through a use case, other dealers could watch this thing and understand, okay, so Zach implemented it in this way that's kind of tangential to the problem I'm facing. And I think that the future of insights or vendor education or anything that happens in our industry will kind of go through media channels like this. It's more efficient. It's more fun. People kind of care about it a little bit more. And I think maybe the events could pivot to more experiential things where it's less hardcore closey, carnival barker.
For sure.
Maybe let's move it to something where we all have a lot of fun. I was saying, let's go to Ponte Vedra Club, let's go surfing, let's play golf, and we can all be car guys and hang out. But in terms of the vendor distribution, I think it should be more media focused.
And I think you hit on something really big there. It was the relationship aspect of it. And and what was funny, Russ said something yesterday. He was I treat it like a FaceTime call. And then you said when people feel like they know you, when they see you out in public because they watch your TikToks. And I think that's amazing for a brand to understand is the advertising doesn't really connect at a personal level. Right. Yeah. But this social media stuff really connects at a personal level. So
100%.
I don't know, Russ, I don't know about your take on that. When people recognize you in public, do they treat you oh, you're my best friend?
He got pulled over in the parking lot of the Drury Inn last night in Indiana. I was shocked.
Some guy pulled up on me and he was like, I saw the Navigator. I figured it was you. And he
Really?
pulled it behind us.
Oh, that's awesome.
It brought a tear to my eyes.
he used to
Damn,
work
I'm
here.
so proud of this
He
guy.
used to sell cars here. What was that guy's name?
I don't remember.
I told him. He said he was probably going to come today. He said he used to sell cars here.
Uh-oh.
He's probably a stroke. He's not going to buy anything.
That's your first customer.
Speaking of that, how many phone calls do you get at the dealership?
Oh, man, a lot. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to anyone watching, but a lot of people love to just call me to say hi, seek advice. Hey, Russ, I saw you gave some advice on how to get out of negative equity. I live in Oregon. I'm 14 grand upside down. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And it's if they catch me at the right time, I will walk them through how to do it. I'm not a rude human being, but sometimes they just catch me at the wrong time. I'm extremely busy. And
He's
I'm just
so generous with his time. It's really something that I'm really proud of Russ and proud to associate myself with Russ, the way he carries himself with strangers. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I just never want to be that pretentious, holier than thou type of guy. I don't have time for you. So if there's time, I always give it to people. And then I have a bad habit of, hey, man, I'm super busy. Here's my cell phone. Just call me later.
Oh, no.
I feel so bad.
Handing out his cell phone to strangers.
Yeah, I mean, I would say one of the things, just as has been really impressive is like you are the same on all of your social media stuff as you are in person. Like, and even more so in terms of like the giving and caring and just like you're not holding anything back, right? So can you give some advice to a salesperson out there that let's say they aren't on social media or they don't think it's going to work? Like, how do they get started? What would be kind of your little elevator pitch of why to get started, and then what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, the reason to get started as a car salesman would be to, sell more cars. And how do you do that? You help people. And how do you help people? Is provide valuable content. There's a couple ways to attack it. I talked about it at length yesterday. If I was just getting started, if you decide I'm going to start and you start a Facebook page, an Instagram page, a TikTok page, a LinkedIn page, a YouTube page, it's going to be very overwhelming. And you're going to have all this energy and emotion, and then you might do it, and then it's going to be very tough for you to continue at that pace. So I would start small with just Facebook and Instagram and just brand yourself as a car salesman. I mean, this is our careers. You got to buy in. I cannot think of somebody who has not bought into themselves that has done well at length in this industry. And you guys have been doing this a while. You could probably agree with that. Guys come in, they do good for a month, and they have a bad month. And it's like, how do we negate those bad months? And it's through social media. And the best way to negate those bad months is through referrals. And everybody needs to know where you are and what you're doing. And I would start with a Facebook page and an Instagram page and just posting pictures with your customers and talking about what's going on and giving out free advice on the cars you're selling. If you're at a manufacturer, become an industry expert on that manufacturer. Yes, there's somebody on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram that talks about Toyotas and Lexus and Hyundai and Kia. Don't be afraid to start because somebody already does it. Because you might resonate with somebody. Somebody might be like, oh, well, this guy's really cool. I like his personality. This guy has 800,000 followers that does the Toyota content, but this guy just resonates with me. So I'm going to start following him. And then I get referrals from people I've never met in my life. From out of state, hey, I'll get an email. Hey, Russ, my cousin lives outside the Pittsburgh area and it just came up in conversation. He was looking for Lincolns. And I sent him your way because you're the go-to guy in Pittsburgh for a Lincoln. It's like, how do you become that? You got to brand yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what I do and where I do it. And it's like, it's hard to, we always talk about ROI. Well, I don't know how to track that.
Yeah.
All I can do is just tell stories of what have happened. I wish there was a way. John will figure it out eventually on how to.
Honestly, I think, I've met with a bunch of random tech companies. I'm like, hey, I have this weird situation. Like, can you help me? And everything's like so close, not quite there. So I think it's like the next great entrepreneur to figure out how to drive inbound demand solely off of organic content of regional creators. And I think that's like a problem in the market. And I think if it's solved, it'll compress your cost per lead at a rooftop like you guys. You can take your CPM or your CPL significantly down and start leveraging your assets.
And I think that's the conversation that we kind of alluded to yesterday about, a content house. The reality is we close dealership website leads at 30%.
Goodness.
And then we're closing third-party leads at 14, 15. We close a very high ratio. But if I could find a way to do like a content house where I just drive inbound traffic through dealership calls, website, because of what we're providing social media-wise, I would be completely an idiot to not focus on the 30% versus the 15 and get rid of all of this other side and then turn that all over to social media budget and production.
I'll add color to that. So what I've found with Car Dealership Guy is, if a brand comes on our podcast and they, sometimes they say, hey, John, can we use that teaser clip as an ad? And I'm like, yeah, as long as you tell me the outcome of it. So that's kind of been what I've said. And it's been really neat where they show me it's been time and time again. Here's our cost per CPM, how people measure like views per thousand or whatever. And then when they brand with Car Dealership Guy, their CPM gets cut in half. And they just became a more efficient marketing spend. So you basically can get either more or the same by cutting your budget in half. And I think that's ultimately going to be the outcome here at Orman Toyota, is Zach's going to have all these salespeople creating. You have this dynamic team that has like the personality is abundant here. And then you will eventually either be able to step on the gas pedal with your digital marketing spend or pull back and get more. And I think that's kind of what this picture looks like at scale.
So how much money, Russ, have you spent on like advertising?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
I mean, because I just
paid
think
ads or
just to grow this thing,
like nothing. It's all organic. My iPhone bill.
So like that's what's crazy when like dealers and owners talk about ROI. It's like, well, there's not really an investment at all, right? I mean, we'll spend 10, 15, 20 grand a month and like not really know the ROI really from that either.
So like the owner of my dealership, I kind of peeled back the curtain for him what I was doing not too long ago, and he kind of walked me through like what a dealership's like, just operating a dealership and owning it and how much capital it takes, and you know, and he was like, Russ, you have to run with this. You know, we will support you. We will be there for you. If you got to go do this training or you got to go do this skit idea and leave work early, like, we are all for it because you have to chase that because you have no overhead.
Yeah.
Like my only overhead is my little brother, who is my camera guy versus the voice behind the camera and helps me with ideas and a lot of things. I pay him.
He's the best.
Yeah. No, he kills it.
Yeah.
But like, I have an iPhone. That's what drives everything.
I love that.
right
You
there.
asked,
That's
you
crazy,
asked like
man.
what kind of paid ads you're doing. And he was like,
He's like, wait, what?
people pay.
That right there is what the pure part of Russ Flips Whips is. Like, Russ, what do you pay for what? Like, you want my bills? Yeah, I don't pay those either. No, I'm just kidding. Like that's the experience we have with him. Is like literally, it's just been so genuine. Of like, no, like I'm gonna pull the curtain back. I'm gonna share everything because I want this platform to grow, knowing that obviously personality defines who's gonna watch what. But also, if others grow, your platform grows as well.
And that's, just like, maybe that's just how I've always operated, but I've always just thought like give, and then like just karma will come back. So I've never like, if you're going to try to start social media, if your plan from day one is I want to make a ton of money from it, it probably won't last too long, you know? And same with becoming a car salesman. It's like, you want to get in to make money. Of course, this is a job. We want to get paid. But how do you come at it from the angle of helping people? And those are the car salesmen who always do the best. Like, I want to help people. And I think that's why my social media has done so well, is because I've always just wanted to help people. If you watch my videos, they're either entertaining, educating, funny, or they're like helping people with some free game and that free advice on how to buy a car or sell a car or learn about a car. That's just always what I've tried to do.
How are you guys going to leverage the distribution of the videos that hit? Like Dalton made something yesterday that resonated, so like, what are you going to do with it? You're going to email it out to people? Like, how are you going to use incremental distribution? Would you ever get behind a boost or something like that?
Yeah, I think for us, it's, again, let's see what happens.
Right.
Again, I think Russ's training, when you finished it, was like, hey, are we just going to make videos today because I'm here, or is this going to continue on? And I think right now what we're going to do is we're going to observe just for the next 2 weeks of like, who's actually going to buy into this?
Right.
And continue to give the feedback and the encouragement. And obviously for us, it's going to be easy because the views will become addicting.
Yeah.
They
Seeing
are.
the 20,
It's like
30,000.
a golf shot.
Yeah, right?
Like you take someone who's never golfed
John,
before.
you know about that, right? That putt to win the match?
Okay,
I thought you were talking
why
about-
are we talking about
I thought you were
this
talking
again?
about how my following's bigger on LinkedIn than Russ.
For now.
Yeah, until this podcast, then it just tripled. So, yeah, I think for us, it's going to be observe it for 2-3 weeks, and then I think behind that is going to be really the aggressive recruit of individuals, and for our people here, the promotion of it, of like, if we can have the Roman Toyota platform and social media be something that promotes an individual, like let's allow that to happen.
Oh, like let them run.
Yeah,
that's
and
a
allow
cool
us
idea,
to
dude.
continue to push them bigger. And I could care less if one. I love when salespeople say, "Well, I don't have a fair shot at so and so." Well, so and so is doing a lot more than you.
Right.
Like if someone's going to continue to invest in themselves, we're going to invest in them.
That's kind of the future, Zach. And I mean, we're all sitting here like we're in this nascent moment. Like social media has been around forever, but kind of like businesses being able to lean in like this. And we all are like, wow, this is so exciting. This is awesome. Kind of what do we do with it? We don't quite know yet, but we are committed to it. And it's going to get better and better. It's going to be so dialed in. If you don't get started now, if you don't get started really honing, then you'll just be like 10 years from now and be like, what have I done?
I missed it.
Yeah, you'll miss it.
For sure. Russ, you've got to this point in your career, social media. I would say now it's like the indestructible stage where it's like, I've built this platform. What's the next step? For everyone listening,
Whatever
where does
John
Russ
tells
go?
me.
Russ and I are going to create a dealership group, and we'll go nationwide. I think, honestly, I think that's what that kid's capable of. I think that, back in the day,
I'm a man.
All right,
sport.
You're
I
just,
think
you're just
that-
my uncle, sport.
Russ is so dynamic that if a dealership group ever used Russ at scale, I think that they could compress their marketing budget in half. The way they deploy him, the way people associate with him, you could also create a ton of goodwill in a region. So I think, standing on my soapbox a little bit. Dealership aggregation's a big thing. Institutional money has found our industry, and sometimes like a lot of family offices can buy up dealership groups right now. Well, I think the better way to go about it is to find an interesting way in, get behind a guy like Russ, and I think that's what he's capable of. If not, continuing to sell cars, or just these like amazing opportunities that present themselves. But in my heart, I think Russ could, 20 years from now, own a giant dealer group.
What he said. Yeah, that's my answer.
So let's talk about this though. Like, so for now, you're selling cars, and you're doing the social media, and you're doing the brand deals. What impressed me yesterday, and I want you to talk a little bit about this, how you manage your time, and like, how do you keep those two separate?
Yeah, of course. So I mean, when I first started like making videos, like it was just like whenever I had time, and then I started to get like, oh, I'm like kind of decent at this. I'm gonna make more videos, and I would just do it like during the day at work, and then I would like start missing ups and my sales were like slipping a little bit. The managers would be like, hey, we were looking for you. Like there was like a really good up that we wanted you to take. Where were you? I was like, I was making a TikTok. And it's like, that doesn't really, as every dealer would think in the now moment, well, that's only benefiting you, Russ, not us, which I disagree with, but I see why they think that.
Yeah.
That's only benefiting you, not us. Like you can't be doing that while, you're working. You got to work first. And I was like, they're right to an extent. I do think that social media has probably more value than the up in front of you, but or a brick and mortar store, you definitely want to take care of the customer in front of you as well too. So I get that balance. So once this got extremely serious, I would start filming on Sundays. I would go in after church, and me and my brother would go film like a week's worth of content for about 3 or 4 hours. Then that became like really tough because Monday through Thursday I'm selling cars. Friday John books a billion meetings for me. Saturday I'm selling cars.
On Friday he gets a 10th of the taste of like my Monday through Friday. I barely involve him. He's like, oh, this is so hard.
Standard car salesman. Like, I would be in the same boat. Like, I had 7 meetings. I couldn't talk to a human being today.
Yeah. And then it got to the point where obviously like my wife and my family were like, you need to like chill, like enjoy your time, which I disagree with. I don't mind working like that, but
it's because you're 25.
But I was like, you guys are right. So I reserved my Sundays to kind of just like do nothing. And I would go in at 5 a.m. on Saturdays, which I still do, and film all that content, which my little brother hates
Pause
me
for a
that.
second. Yeah. I decided to take Sundays completely off. Saturday I started at 5 a.m. But I got to make up those hours.
I mean, that you and I had a moment at dinner last night where we both looked at each other and started laughing because Russ was like, I don't want to be a manager at my store. I'm not like a general manager.
Yeah.
But like Russ just rattled off like 7 process changes. He's like, I decided we changed the way we do internet lead handling at my store. And also, we signed up with a new marketing company I took a demo for. And Zach and I are looking at each other. We're like, I think this kid's the general manager of the store.
He doesn't have the title. He just kind of makes the decision. Though,
I just put good ideas out there, and they usually are good ideas, and we run with them.
Yeah.
I love it.
But I'm sure you've like had opportunities to go like bigger dealerships, more opportunities. Like, why hasn't anything happened yet like that?
Well, I guess, 2 points. One, my greatest strength and my greatest weakness is loyalty. I'm an extremely loyal person. I've lived in the same neighborhood my entire life. I've been with my wife since I was in freshman year of high school. Worked at the same dealership since I was 15 years old. So I don't really like change. Like even coming here was like a big deal for me.
Yeah.
But then I get here and it's like, oh, I really don't want to leave. So
We're not recruiting Russ. Just so everyone's on the same page.
Well, we are if he wants it. No,
I don't need a legal letter out of this podcast.
But my dealership is extremely supportive of me.
Yeah.
And I guess there is a bit of fear in me because if a dealership recruits me, they're thinking, how many cars can Russ sell for me? So if Russ comes in day one,
such a good point.
how many cars is Russ going to sell day one? They're not going to care about the social media. They're not going to care about the views. So if I move across the country and I go to this store and I throw up a 10-car month, and they're like, man, Russ, we're paying Russ a lot of money to sell 10 cars,
Yeah, it's such a great point.
So it's like at my dealership, I can consistently sell 20 to 30 cars, even, I don't want to say without trying, because I do try very hard, but it's just easier, and I don't have to commit as much time to follow up and cold call and pulling people out of service than maybe I would have to if I went to another store. So I guess there is a bit of fear.
I think it's similar value to, you look around this store and you see these cool pictures of Bob Rohrman, I never got to meet the guy, but apparently was an ultra creative, innovative person. You look at these cool, funny pictures he has or this or that. And I think, he has kind of a kindred spirit or sense of creativity to what Russ has. I think it's the value and the ethos that dealers were able to demonstrate through like the 70s, 80s, and 90s and early 2000s perhaps got slightly lost in corporate jargon, church and state with OEMs. And I think, you guys are bringing the fun back. Russ is bringing the fun back. it's here.
Speaking of the fun, so you're here on a mission
Yes.
to make sure that we're telling the truth with the sales event. Make sure the Plinko board's real. Like
It is regulation.
What
We
have you-
checked it out.
First off, it is not regulation. It is 25 foot tall. Literally, I watched, I think it was Deliver's TikTok where he was like, the statistics, if one peg's off, I was like, listen, dude, every peg's off. Without doubt, like, this is a dealership at its finest that went to Lowe's and bought corkboard and
Wow,
put
shout
pegs
out
in
Lowe's.
it.
No free ads,
And
Lowe's.
literally, this thing gets hoisted up to our balcony, and it is sketchy as all get out. Like, we just have a good time. And when you talk about fun, that was this idea that we did. This was like 4 years ago where I said to one of my employees, hey, I want you to go on a project and make an 8 foot tall by 4 foot wide Plinko board.
Wow.
And then like 2.5 hours later, I went looking for him and went, what are we doing? He's like, we got thinking, how cool would it be if it was 25 foot? And I was like, where did the budget come from on this? But to the
Yeah.
point of like having great employees that are creative to come up with something is where this thing came from. So when we kind of called you out with the beef and were like, let's see if we can get somebody to grab onto the hook here and take the bait. And
Very
it was
smart
like,
by you.
let's see what happens. And then when you kind of responded, it was like, how do we marry this with the training? How do we then go next level with this? And I hope today that you find out that we're as ethical as we think we are.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it all goes. But super excited to have you here and get your Inspector Gadget glasses on, get in the weeds, and figure
I think
out
it
if
was
it's gonna
cool
work.
too, just like, and it just goes to show social media. I mean, there was like 5 or 6 other creators that just wanted to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And, you know, I swear I did not tell anyone to like, hey, go make a video about this. But they saw me talking about it. They saw you guys talk about it. They saw the engagement we were getting. And they were like, I want a piece of that.
Yeah.
It was fun. Anybody who saw the beef going down and kind of like saw the Plinko call out, I mean, it was so fun.
Yeah, it was one of those that organically kind of went crazy with us too. Of like, what do we do? This person's reaching out now. It's like we challenge him too. Like, double up.
Come on down.
Zach was turned into Vince McMahon. It
Yeah,
was like
right?
taking
That's
on a
what we
life
felt
of its own.
For sure.
Well,
Yeah.
we got a few minutes left, and then we're gonna do a big sales huddle. I heard my wife's making cinnamon rolls and bringing
Let's
them,
go.
Which, pause for a second. Let's just make sure everyone knows Austin has nothing to do with sales 363 days a year.
Nice.
And then all of a sudden for this has been the biggest cheerleader where now his wife is bringing cinnamon rolls
Yeah,
in.
no.
Like, let's go.
player.
Austin Conroy has made the shift, ladies and gentlemen.
I
I
love
used
that.
to sell cars. Let's not forget my first full month in a business. I was salesman of the month for you.
That is true.
I was.
Whoa.
I
How many
had
deals
one-
you give them, Zach?
Okay, Russ.
They all came organically through social media, Russ.
I just sat at the front door and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" No, so
sure.
So as we wrap up here, I have prepared some special questions for both of you. So
Nice.
we like to play a game called Would You Rather every once in a while. So we have some specially selected ones. So John, I'm going to start with you first.
Thank
I
you.
have 2 questions for each of you. So. Would you rather have an influencer campaign go viral for all the wrong reasons,
Oh.
or miss out on the best waves of the season at Jacksonville Beach?
Oh, it did go 4 to 6 feet while I was out here in Indiana. And your waves kind of suck, to be honest, here in Lafayette.
I thought the Drury Inn had a wave pool. Did they not?
Russ was like, "Did you bring a bathing suit?" I'm like, "I wear a bathing suit every day. I got an extra one." But yeah, that's a tough one, dude. I think I have enough confidence in myself to kind of deal with a burning building that I would like it to go viral for the wrong reason. Hop in, spin it, present. I think we make chicken salad out of anything.
So you're hitting the waves.
Oh yeah, dude.
All right. Next one. Would you rather tailgate at every Clemson game but never watch them, or watch every game but never tailgate?
Well, different era in life. If you asked,
Yeah.
if you asked 22-year-old John Frederick, who's a little bleary-eyed and a little, frat boy, I probably would have never missed the tailgate. But now I'm a dad with 2 girls. I've taken the pedal off the gas significantly. So I'm happy just going to the game. And I did book Clemson, Georgia, and Atlanta this August 31st. So I'll be there.
That'll be a good one.
As a follow-up to that, like, how did you weasel your way into the White House? For
I had a fraternity
the famous
brother.
Big Mac thing.
Yeah. I had a fraternity brother who was a chief of staff for a congressman in Oklahoma. And I was, working at Tyson's Toyota. And Trevor won the Natty, and I was at the game. I came back, and I called my fraternity brother. I said, "Cameron, I know when Deshaun won the Natty, you got a lot of the fraternity brothers in. You happen to forget to call me. I forgive you. But if you get me in, I don't know if the Secret Service will kill me for saying this, but I was like, if you get me into the White House, I'll give you $5,000. And he's like, no, it isn't happening. Government shutdown, whatever. And middle of the day, I got an invite. And then like it was an out of body experience because it was the night where Trump served the team McDonald's,
Right.
And everybody was shocked, but I couldn't have. No one was there. They were like, "Hey, what do you do for the team?" I was like, "I run a used car store kind of near here." It was just like the best night of my life.
Why is this guy here? Was that the guy who brought the Big Macs?
I should have been the delivery guy.
That would have been a great story.
All right, Russ, you're on the hot seat now. So you got to follow me with this one. So would you rather have a Lincoln Navigator that self-drives but requires you to eat a Chipotle burrito during each trip, or one that needs you to rock climb to reach the driver's seat every time?
Okay. I think I would take the self-driving. I would rather do the self-driving because I love Chipotle burritos.
Yeah.
And I had never really experienced the Navigator self-driving at length until my trip here. And as I mentioned to you guys, I was sitting crisscross applesauce on the seat at one point during the drive.
Like a 4-year-old.
With
He
my
had a
arms-
Lunchable. He was playing a Game Boy.
With my arms folded for about 10 minutes. And I was like, this is a really bad idea. I should probably just sit like a normal person.
Oh my God, bro.
But I just have ADHD. I was just trying to get comfy, and this leg came up like this, and then, the other leg came up, and then I'm just
Russ,
sitting on my nap.
Will you finish the podcast like this for us?
I think we have to.
No, I was sitting like this for a good 10
You just
minutes.
told me I'm not allowed to call you a kid.
It's so true.
Don't call me a kid, but I'm going to drive halfway across the country. Crisscross applesauce. Your words. Your words, not mine.
Before we go farther, tell the story about how you got the Navigator to come out here.
Okay, so
Yes.
in this TikTok beef, Bob Orban Toyota said, "Fly out, Russ. Come check out our sales event." And in my response video, I said, "I'm not flying. I'm driving the world's nicest luxury SUV, the Lincoln Navigator. I'll see you then." And then like 20 minutes before I leave, I said to the owner of my store, Mr. Biondi, and he knows I'm coming, but I forgot to mention I needed a Navigator. I figured I'd wait that till it was like, I'm leaving. I was like, "Hey, Mr. Biondi, I got to take a Navigator. Which one do you want me to take?" He goes, "You can't take a Navigator to Indiana." I was like, "Oh, but I told him I was." He was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I told him I was going to drive a Navigator." And I was like, it would look pretty bad if I didn't pull up in one.
He was like, "Yeah, Avis is down the street, Russ. Good luck."
And that's another reason why I work at my store, because they're just so supportive. I don't know of another dealership in America that would say, "You know what, Russ, take a Saturday off, go to this random dealership, help them sell cars, and while you're at it, take a $100,000 car with you."
Yeah.
A brand
Shout out
new one.
Biondi.
Yeah.
That's
Shout out to
amazing.
Mr.
Yeah.
Biondi.
Well, and
Yeah,
a
that is-
dealership may, just not 20 minutes before you leave. Russ, when do you leave?
distinction.
About 10 minutes, unless you make this longer.
To be fair, though, I mean, you got to experience what is one of the coolest features on the market. I mean, I haven't been able to experience it, right? Like that self-driving. How
The Blue
wild?
Cruise. The
How
Blue Cruise.
wild is that?
It is absolutely insane. I mean, I got on 70, turns it on. I kind of knew what to expect, but I mean, just using it at length and how beautifully it worked, I mean, it was actually insane. And I'm actually excited to go back, because now everyone I sell is just going to be like a huge driving point for me, because it works on 370,000 miles of pre-mapped roads, but just those roads just kind of aren't within our dealership. So to really showcase it, it's an hour test drive, and that's just kind of unrealistic.
Yeah.
Lincoln tells us, "Oh, go showcase it."
Yeah.
They don't know how the real world works when it comes to these people that come in and tell us what to do. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't leave my store for an hour typically, while I'm actually working. So,
Yeah.
but just to be able to explain it and tell the crisscross applesauce story, I think it'll be a good sales
Yeah.
pitch for me.
That's good. So it worked out, Mr. Biondi. Thank you for allowing Russ to take the Navigator out here.
As long as he makes it back, I'm worried about the crisscross applesauce.
Especially if I fall asleep. No, read your eyes. It won't let you.
Yeah. Cool. All right, last one. Would you rather have a Lincoln that automatically creates TikTok videos while you drive, or a Lincoln that only starts if you and your brother create a TikTok trend video?
It's like the modern breathalyzer.
I think I would do the only starts if we make a TikTok, and that would just keep me motivated to keep posting. It would be
Always grinding.
Yeah.
I think that would be the one, because then it would just make me, didn't make a TikTok today. Got to make a TikTok if I want
Yeah.
to drive somewhere.
Every time.
Every time. No, every time. You got to have your brother there. Yeah. I love it. Cool.
Too funny. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. We appreciate everything. We got a big sales event today.
Let's go.
So we gotta
Me
get
and John
down
are
to the
going to
floor.
pull somebody out of service today.
I'm coming out of
So
retirement,
love
boys.
it.
I hadn't had up in a few years.
Let's go. I'm sure we'll be able to figure it out. The only goal today is to not have Russ climb the Plinko board. I could see that at some point, being like, I just think
But-
these pigs could have held me.
But he's going in the jungle gym top
For
deck.
sure, without
yeah,
a doubt.
yeah.
So
Rest of
stay
the play
tuned for
plays
that.
will
You guys
happen.
can obviously check out some of the highlights that you'll see. We'll have it all over TikTok, social media. But again, guys, we appreciate everything. Thanks for coming in and training. We're excited to see where this all goes. So
Thanks so
stay
much.
tuned.
Thanks for having us. This was awesome.
The views and statements expressed on this podcast, as well as any other use of its content, exclusively represent the opinions and views of the Driving Relationships podcast and shall not be attributed to or construed as views or statements of any other affiliated entity.